Hey y'all, it's Garrett. I'm back. This time we're gonna be talking about the instruments that I used in my sample pack, Industrial PERC. Let's go check it out. Okay, so it's kind of a mess, but here's a quick look at everything that I use on this. Bunch of metallic things, a lot of like homemade stuff, but at least gives you an idea what we'll be going through. Okay, before we dive in, the last video with the drums, I talked a lot about like the microphones and preamps and stuff. But with all of this percussion, I only had 2 microphones that I was using, and I was blending between each one of them depending on what sounds I was trying to like pull out or what character the instruments did that I liked more. And then I used the same preamps as well. So I had 2 microphones. One of them was the Gefell, Microtech Gefell that you see over here. One of those, it's a large diaphragm condenser, and then the other one was my Coles that you see there. The Gefell was going through the API 512V, and then the Coles was going through, I think, the AML Neve style pre. And then from there, I just blended what I liked more. So like, if I wanted more of the ribbon sound for the glass bottle that I used, then I just mix that accordingly. But yeah, nothing insane. And then the distance from it like varied between instrument and instrument. Do I remember what that is? No, but it wasn't right up on it. I'll tell you that. I wanted a little bit of space and a little bit of room sound to all of these instruments. Okay, so let's dive in.
Alphabetically.
The first one is, I have my notes over here that I'll be checking off screen. Bottle caps. Here they are. I made this a few years ago. It's super janky, but it gets the job done. A bunch of line here going through all of these bottle caps from various like beers and Topo Chicos that I drank, and then piece them all together to make a thing. So some of the loops will be like this, and then there's some shakeable one shots that are in there too. So that's bottle caps. Next we have brake drum. So the brake drum is literally a brake drum. It's like the old school. I don't even know, I'm not a car guy, so I don't know if they still even use these anymore or if these are for old cars. I don't know, someone tell me. But in percussion world, they always like using this style of them because they sound cool. So this is all I know. When I recorded this, I recorded it a couple different ways. I have this here that I'll reference. So in the brake drum, I had different strikers and velocities. So I have a mallet that I used. It's a timpani mallet that the felt has come off. So I'm using that, just the hard bit, leaving the felt off. I used a hammer, and then I used a stick. And then on one of them, I did this vibrato thing, which sounds like this. Probably can't hear it, but it's doing it. Let me show you what these sound like. Here's the mallet, you heard that. Stick. And the hammer. It's all brutally loud, but cool, different options with the strikers. Different tones and different options that you could build your own loops or whatever. And then I have some other loops where I played it open the full time and then muted some. That was super fun. This thing is also like 1,000,000 pounds, so it's not fun to move around. Okay, next, the chains. Okay, so I have these chains that I got cut at Home Depot. I probably look like a crazy guy in there. I went up to the boxes of chains and just started shaking them and moving them around. And then when the guy was like, how much do you want? I was like, okay, pull out like this much. Let me shake it. Okay, pull out a little bit more. I was like dialing in the sound that I was going for. He was very patient with me. He was very nice. But yeah, so the chains, I found this old one that I just blended with this and the different ones that are in the pack. But there's different options of the chains. So one of them here is just sort of back and forth getting tossed from hand to hand, or however you want to imagine that. The other option that I have here is chains dangled, which is just this, clanking together. Very spooky horror vibes. Different variations of that. Also, there's different variations of this. I have chains being dragged, which I bought this board so I wouldn't damage my floor. But what I did was set this on the ground. Oh God. And put the chains on it. And just literally drag them across. Different variations of that. And then also with this wooden board, I also did chains being dropped, which sounds like this. And then I think I have pickup too. Anyway, that's all the chain stuff. Moving on. After the chains, we have a cymbal being bowed. This was really fun because there's a bunch of ways that you can do this. I grew up in percussion, like symphony world. That's how I first started out getting into drums. And so I always thought it was super fun to do these sort of things, like bowing cymbals, bowing the vibraphone, bowing a cymbal on a timpani and changing the pitch of the timpani, like doing all these crazy things. But there's a million ways to do the cymbal bowed thing, but I knew I wanted to do it for this pack because I thought it fit perfectly. In the pack, they're a little bit more jagged. There's some where you can hear the sustain of the note carry a long way. But the ones that I liked, I used this cymbal, which is a 21-inch Domene thin ride. And then I also used another Domene cymbal. It's a 19-inch Guardian crash. I did 9 different options on these, and I was going for, like I said, more of the like jaggedy ones, not necessarily holding a long tone. Some of them have the tone or like a harmonic that'll pop out, and I just kind of left it. I just improvised and I chose what I thought was the coolest. But check this out, I'll show you what it sounds like. I haven't put any rosin on this, that helps too, but let's see. So there's a way to do it where you can have the tone ring out, but I always like grabbing it here for this pack and put a lot more pressure on it to kind of get the jarry sort of sounds to it, you know? And with the right amount of reverb and everything that I mixed, you'll hear it on the pack. You can do a lot with it. I think on the promo video that I made for this, I used a lot of these bowed cymbals, and I pitched one of them down an octave. So you can like really mess with them and create cool atmospheres with this stuff. Let me put some rosin on it and see if I can get it to respond better. Don't tell my wife I'm raiding her violin case. This is probably really good rosin, and she's gonna be mad, but you know, what are you gonna do? String players don't at me. I don't know what I'm doing, I just hit stuff, okay? See? Alright, so with a little bit of rosin, let's see what this sounds like. So I went for more of those like jarring sort of rigid tones on this pack, but you can make it nice and do like tones, like get like actual harmonics and stuff out. Let's see if I can get it. Like that sort of stuff, but I thought it was more fun to do it this more aggressive way. Anyway, that's that. Next, I have cymbal scrapes. For that, I used, also, from percussion world, they do this a lot. I used a coin here. I think it was this one. If not, doesn't really matter. Just something metallic. It's almost always a coin. Sometimes it's not. Whatever sounds cool, who cares? But I used a coin, so shut up. Couple different options. I just have 3 options there. I think it's a short, long, and medium. So short, medium, and then long. I did something like that. I don't remember if it was on this cymbal or not, but that's at least the vibe that I was going after. All right, next, cymbal screech. I have 3 of these. I used a stick. Again, just like the bowed cymbal, I wanted to go for more of a jaggedy, aggressive sort of thing. And so some of them are real heavy at the front and then it's just a lot of sustain. Some of them are a bit longer. Again, I was just improvising and picked my best ones that I thought would fit best for this. But there's a million ways to do this. This is how I did it. If you haven't done this before, it's cool. You take the tip of the stick, and it works best if you find it to sit in between like the lathe marks. And then I support it from the bell. Some people might not. That's what I do. And then you just take it along the cymbal. And different pressure downwards, it's gonna change the response. So this is kind of light right now. Letting the stick vibrate. You don't want to choke it completely, but you could still get tone out of that too. It's just gonna be different. But this is what this is. Put more pressure. And if you skip more outward, you're gonna get it hitting different lathe marks and get these like lower tones. So a lot of these were kind of a combination of both. If it's just trying to stay long tone, or was I trying to skip? I just kind of let the cymbal do its thing, and then, like I said, picked what I thought was the coolest. Next, glass bottle. If you watch my beat breakdown video, I mentioned that I went to Scotland recently and went to the Talisker distillery up in the Isle of Skye, and I poured my own whiskey that was made in a wine barrel. But I did my own pour. Look, it has my name on it. Bottled by Garrett Tillman. Date. I did it backwards because I was in Scotland. Backwards, right? For an American, it's backwards. The 13th of April, 2025. And then the batch number. And then it was 9-year. And then the alcohol percentage. Anyway, this was great. This is not a sponsored video. Why the hell am I talking about this? I don't know. But I think it's cool. I like showing off cool things like this. Anyway, glass bottle here. Lots of one-shots. Hit it with a stick. And also there's some loops as well in the pack. Nothing super special other than the fact that the bottle has a story, and that's cool and I wanted to share it. Okay, next. Junkyard shaker. I think this is cool. This is a cool one. So most of my shakers that I have that I use all the time are homemade shakers. There's rarely any shakers that I use that are not homemade. One of them is in a Green Spot whiskey, you know, the cylindrical, here, I'll get it. And this guy that holds the whiskey, and I just poured, I think, lentils in here. It sounds amazing, like on everything that I've recorded. This is, that uses shaker, it's probably this. But same thing, my wife drank this coffee, and when she was done with it, I was like, do not throw that away. I'm gonna make that into a shaker. So originally I put garbanzo beans, which I have over there, uncooked. And it's this, you know, metallic can, right? I don't know what it's made of. Aluminum or something, I don't know. Doesn't matter. It's metal, and the garbanzo beans gave it this nice, like, chunky, thick sort of thing. I was like, let me empty that out. Let me put washers and shakers in there, or washers and screws, I mean, in there, and make this shaker. And I experimented with the amount of stuff that's in there. There's really not that much. I don't know if you can see. There's really not that much in there, but it made for a really great shaker. It recorded surprisingly well. In person, I was like, I don't know about this. I might need to like dull this up a little bit. And that's why I put some tape on the top some tape on the side and some tape on the bottom to kind of dull out, because it's a metal can, so the can itself was ringing a little bit, or like maybe a loose screw would hit the top lid and cause it to reverberate or something that I wasn't really liking. So I dulled it up like that, but it recorded like really well and I was really happy with it. But here's what it sounds like. Don't know how it sounds through that, but check out my pack. It sounds really good. Next, metal sheet. So a lot of people do this. I'm obviously not an innovator of using this, but I thought it fit well with the pack and I wanted to do like my own thing with it that maybe others didn't do. So I went for this, I think they call it a corrugated sheet. I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong. But they use this a lot for like roofing. I did a couple velocities on this, and I also did a variation of this. So one of them being, I experimented with this a little bit. I wasn't like super stoked on it, but I found one I was like, oh, this is kind of rad. So I put it in the pack. But I taped a bunch of pennies and nickels to it and then hit it with a stick in the same way that I did it without. So this is it without, but you can imagine tape with pennies and nickels on it. I think I put maybe, I don't know, maybe 10 max coins on there. But anyway, this is what this sounds like. Everybody and their mother does this, but it's cool. This one sounds best hitting on the side, I think. At least that's what sounded best when recording. But you know, I put some reverb on this, and it really was just, that was the icing to make this shine through. Pair it with a snare drum, and you just get this huge, huge deal. That's that. Next is the opera gong. So the opera gong is this small gong, has this raised up flat center to it, and it does a cool pitch bend. That's its whole thing. I did different, I'm looking here now, I did different playing zones, and then I also used different strikers. So most of the hits that I did were with a stick. So I did 3 velocities of the opera gong on the center. I'm muting it with my hand, but when I played it, it was, I think, on this stool. Let me see, I'll just do it on my leg for right now. So I did different velocities like that, and then I did the same thing with velocities on the edge, which is really me just hitting this, taking the shoulder, the back of the stick, but the shoulder of it, where the shoulder would be on the back, right on this edge, almost like rim shotty. So a few velocities of that, and then I did, I believe, I'm looking here, I did one where it's hanging, it's like proper use with a stick in the center. And then also did one with this mallet. I was in Taiwan on a tour recently, we had an off day, and I got this cool mallet that has this rubber thing. It goes with this, I'll show you. It goes with this wood block here. But I noticed when I was in the store, there was like a million opera gongs, first of all. I noticed when I was in the store, a lot of them were using this to hit the opera gong. And it sounds way better, I think. Check it out. So I included that in the PERC pack. I mean, it's not, I mean, that's more of a traditional Chinese, I believe Chinese, instrument. And so it doesn't like, it's not industrial, right? But a lot of the quirky grooves that I did in the drum portion of the pack, I put it on a floor tom and then played it like that. So it almost sounded like people working, hitting anvils, doing that sort of thing. So it paired perfectly with that. So I was like, well, let me put some one shots and include it in the percussion thing, because some people might want that option to add to some of the other grooves that are available in the drum thing. All right, last piece of the PERC puzzle is these pipe claves. I was in Home Depot finding different lengths of pipe, hitting them together through the plastic bags that came in, and then had to take them home and clean them because they were so covered in grease that I couldn't hold them with my bare hands. But clean them up and use them as claves. This is what they sound like. So one shots of those, loops of those, mostly everything that you heard, there's one shots and different variations of one shots. There's only a few that are loops, and those are the bottle caps, the brake drum, glass bottle, junkyard shaker, the opera gong, and the pipe claves. But those are just starting points to give you an idea of like, I want to use the pipe claves, I want it to be a loop, but let me get some ideas. And so those are included in there, and then you can use the one shots to build your own. But yeah, that's it. That's all the PERC stuff. Hope you enjoyed it. If you are interested in getting this pack, please check out the links down below. Links on my Instagram, links everywhere. You'll find it. Industrial PERC, industrial drums, and then bundle them together to save some money. Thanks for sticking around. Goodbye.